in the lightning lane. The lunch pail, Matt American, Matt American!
And welcome to Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm Scott Waddell, along with my co-host Caitlin Wesley, and we've got a special guest tonight. But first of all, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Denmark Acre Standardbred Racing and Breeding, who are standing Mad American in 2024. And tonight's guest is a member of the maritime driving scene in Prince Edward Island. And just going to run through a couple of his lifetime stats. I don't know if he follows them or not, but anyway, on the training side, this guy has 185 lifetime wins, $679,000 in purse money in his career as a trainer. Then you flip over to the driver, 338 wins, 970, so closing in on $1 million this year. And his first win, I believe, we'll check with him after, but back on April the 15th, 2006, Cross Ridge Income, I think, was this guy's first win, but we'll confirm that in just a moment. And I'll send it over to my co-host for the introductions of our special guest tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'm super excited to actually sit down and chat with Mike McGuigan, like of all people. He's like one of the fun ones to watch on the track. He definitely is someone that you always kind of have to have in your pocket for your picks because you don't know if he's going to do a slick move in the race or if he's, just sitting there waiting to pounce. So welcome aboard, Mike. And we're so excited to have you on to chit chat about some of your, accomplishments and your life.
Really appreciate you guys having me. And like I said earlier, there between you and I guys, this is a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. So thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that, Mike. And like Kate was saying before we came on, it's nice to get to know the drivers besides watching you on a live stream or just watching you post parade or something like that. Kind of get to know you besides the racing side of it as well. So we'll get right into things tonight. You had a career year last year, Mike, with $142,000 in earnings. What were one or two of your biggest moments for you last season?
Well, I think just we started off with a lot of young horses first and foremost in October, and I think we started off with 9 in October, and every one of them ended up making the races. 6 of them took records, which was a massive feat for us as as a team. Glenn Dunn, Johnny McKay was with me, and all the owners. The Maritime Breeders with getting lit was a big win. It was kind of an upset win. He beat a real nice horse of Carl Bagnall's colt. What was that colt's name? Glenn Dunn was training it. They're jogging it for a while. I can't remember his name now. Real good two-year-old trotter. Anyways, we end up winning that race, so that was a big win. Getting tipsy, won a couple races in Old Home Week, and anytime you get a win Old Home Week, because it doesn't matter if you're going for 500 or 20,000, it's a massive win, right? So we had a lot of good wins through the year, and those were a couple of them.
Awesome.
So we definitely admire, for your training skills, young horses, both trotter and pacer. Can you tell us about the 2-year-olds that you have this year within your barn and, how things are going?
Right. Yeah. Well, as of right now, it's going pretty well. We have 2 really nice trotting fillies by EL Rocket. They're both going extremely well. I'm very happy with the process. One's owned by Jamie Whalen and Julie Jameson. And as of right now, they're doing things, correctly. I got a real nice pacing filly by Beth the Moon. Charles Goodrow and company own that filly. She has extremely high speed. She's a little hot, little a little rambunctious, but
Yeah.
as of late, the last couple of training trips, she has kind of relaxed and come into her own. And then I have a couple other bet the moons. I got Roll Harry. I got a bunch of nice horses right now that in process they're doing things right, and I guess time will tell.
Yeah, you had some nice horses last year. We'll touch on one of your 3-year-olds that you'll have this year, but it was a horse foaled here in New Brunswick, Wickham, uh, daughter of McGuigan. So we'll talk about her shortly. But I want to talk a little bit about your dad, Barney. He's been an extraordinary guy in your life, Mike. I see your Facebook posts and everything, and great relationship that you have, and that you have with your kids as well. So tell us about that special relationship with you and your dad.
Yeah, well, without trying to get too emotional, my old man's been a massive part of my life in the horse racing industry. So
Yeah,
so he he's the first critic always. If
yeah,
you do something wrong, but he's always the guy that you want in your corner. He's to see what he's done the last decade of the fight that he's put up. It's pretty
yeah,
special to watch, and to be there for me and my kids is pretty special.
yeah. No, that's awesome. So besides your dad, are there some other people that kind of impact you both personally and when it comes to the horses, especially when you were younger?
Yeah, I had a lot of role models growing up, but as a young fart run around the old racetrack, um, you kind of were let loose and did your own thing, right?
Yeah.
And a funny story, my old man had the old wooden shaft bikes.
Oh, I remember them.
So I remember dad he never was one to be flashy or
Yeah.
he had this new wooden shaft bike and he had it all painted up, right? And it was all blue. The whole shaft was blue. And I had one of those old rawhide whips and I was on the side and I had the baler twine and I was just giving it and Dad was a lefty, right?
Yeah.
So I was hammering the right shaft and I peeled the paint right off the whole thing. And Dad come off the track or whatever he was doing. It might have been a race night. I can't recall, but I remember I got in massive trouble for that. But um, guys back in the day were like Paul McDonald, my father, of course. Bill
Yeah.
Henderson was a uh, a real impact in my life growing up. When I got in trouble in Dad's barn, I'd run up to Bill's barn, and Bill would always give me a pat on the back. They would want to give me a tap in the arse, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but Paul McDonald, Bill Henderson, and another gentleman I should mention is Dr. Ian Moore.
Oh, yeah.
I worked for Ian for a few years. I had a
Okay.
real fantastic opportunity to work for Ian when he had shadow play as a 2-year-old. He actually flew me up for the little brown jug,
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
was able to be there for that experience. So there's lots of guys like that. Albert O'Brien or Albert Bernard, like Dave Rose, all those guys were fantastic people, and they were always really good to kids.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we've touched base on, your 2-year-olds. So let's touch base on, a couple of your 3-year-olds. How are they coming along? We had, getting tipsy, getting lit, McWickham, but we also have the aged mare, the Atlantic Star. Like, so fun to follow. I enjoy watching her go. So can you just, touch base on a couple horses that's going along in your stable?
Sure, yeah. So Atlantic Star is no longer in my care right now. She's at Jen Doyle's, and Mike
You
Pollard, the
qualified.
owner, sent. Well, we both thought she'd be better off racing off a farm. So
Yeah.
it was a mutual kind of agreement. But she went some massive trips. Actually, I think she might have touched on a track record last year in Truro, and I think was beat by Donnie McRae's mare shortly after that, she went a massive mile in like 53, I think, in Truro. But she's a sweet old mare. Wickham is actually still in Quebec with the Goudreaus. But getting tipsy and getting lit, two trotters that I'm training currently for Jamie Whalen and Janice Whalen. Just trained yesterday morning, and both in 2-4, and they're doing fantastic and looking for, hoping for big things to come in this summer with both those.
And we were chatting before tonight, Mike, on Facebook there, and you said that you might possibly have an age pacing mare this year. Has anything kind of transpired there?
Yeah, well, I'm talking in correspondence with Tim Dickinson in Toronto. He has a very very core group of horses. He's got 5 or 6 horses with Blake McIntosh. And as of right now, we're in discussions. He's got a beautiful mare and a couple of nice horses that are possibly a couple horses that are possibly going to come down here in the near future for hopefully Governor's Plate and the free for all through the summer.
Awesome. That's exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah. Tim's a real nice guy. He's new in the business and reached out to me. My brother was his stick boy when he played junior hockey here years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I've never met him, and he was just kind of stuck one day and had a few questions, and I answered them, and him and I have actually made a relationship as since then, so it's been good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Can you take us back to like your first win and kind of tell us the feeling and what was running through your mind? Because all you drivers remember that first win like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys had Crossridge Income down as my first win.
Yeah.
But I think my first pari-mutuel win was with a horse that I trained myself, was Diesel Sealster.
Okay.
He was a 3-year-old horse that Neil Most actually purchased in Toronto somewheres along the lines. I think he was a decently priced yearling, and he had no manners. He was a skittish horse and very flighty. And I ended up buying him off Neil. I think I got the money off my mother or my father. It wouldn't be my father. It would have been my mom. I think for like $1,200, and I think we bought him off Neil. And that was really the first horse that I personally took on as my own and did my own thing with him. And he ended up being from a maiden right up to a free for all, or not free for all, but like a backup class horse. A real nice horse, real nice colt that year. Diesel Sealster. But I think my first win was with Diesel Sealster.
Okay. Yeah, that goes way back. Did I have the year right at least?
What's that?
I say, did I have the year right? I think it was 2006.
Yeah, I thought it was 2005 because my father had
Okay.
spinal surgery, and like I said, this goes a long ways back, but I think it was 2005 where he was a little steppy horse. He didn't have, he wasn't very good gated. David O'Brien, I think, drove him with his first start for me, and he made a break. And then I ended up getting my license. My father was like, "Oh, geez, like, how's this gonna go? how's this gonna go for this guy?"
Yeah.
And anyways, it turned out okay, and I think we had a pretty good season that year with him.
No, that's awesome. So you train and drive a number of your own horses in your stable, but once in a while you use some of the other drivers over there at Red Shores and maybe even one of the other tracks. What kind of goes into your decision-making process there, Mike, when you want to put somebody else up on a horse for a change? Is it just to give the horse a change, or?
Yeah, well, I think that when as a trainer, you're behind them all the time, and if one of your owners are kind of struggling or a horse is struggling for an owner, you try to do a little too much or overdrive a horse or underdrive a horse, don't want to make a mistake. And and sometimes a horse needs a change. And
Yeah.
I'm not scared to put a decent driver down. Corey McPherson, Kenny Arsenault, Mark Campbell are my go-to guys. Um, pretty decent drivers.
Yeah.
I used to drive a lot more when I was a little bit younger. I've been smashed up a few times. So
Yeah.
as of right now, I do just strictly young horses. I train and drive basically cold horses or stake horses. But if you're driving or training a horse all the time, sometimes they get a little stigmaty and they need a change as well as you need a change. So I think that goes along with this.
Yeah, and it's definitely nice to have that choice of driver pool over there. So many great drivers over at Red Shores and in the Maritimes as a whole.
Yeah.
We're certainly known for churning out our good drivers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think our driver category and you know what, I don't think our trainers get enough credit
That's
down here
true.
as well. Like I really think that as you see horses that are developed through the Maritimes and they go on, they don't go on just because like they got there for a reason. And I think our trainers and our drivers, our owners, our breeders are so much more advanced than back, not just 20, I'm saying like 5 years ago, like 10
Yeah.
years ago, that everything is just being progressed so quickly that we're doing a real good job down here.
Yeah.
Out of the years of driving and training, has there been any, two or three horses that really stick out to you or that you really had like that really close bond with, through driving or, within the barn?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot.
I'm sure you guys know that Getting Messy was a fantastic horse, and
Oh, yeah.
and the thing is, like, he was a good horse. Like he was a good horse regardless where he went. It didn't matter. Like Blaine Whitehead that cold as a 2-year-old, but he was just progressively getting better. And
Yeah.
um, he was a nice horse. He was just a real nice. He was a good horse. He was a pet. He could do it. Like kids were on his back. Like he made,
Yeah.
I don't know how much he made, $60,000. I think Jamie sold him for 65,000.
Yeah.
In the Maritimes, that's massive, massive money. He was a good
Yeah.
horse. Um,
Yeah.
Ari Shabla was, a fantastic filly. She was a horse that I broke one of the first, one my track records was with 3-year-old fillies on Gold Cup nights. The place was packed. My family was on hand. My dad was there, like, and winning 55 all homely to break a 3-year-old filly track record was pretty special. And then, of course, you go back to Diesel Seal, sure, Would Be a Devil, She's a Mint. Like your first horses that I trained was, every horse that comes through your barn that has a little bit of success is normally, you get a bond with them a little bit. It's
Yeah.
you do it because you love it, and you love it because of the horse. So I guess that's the biggest thing with me.
No, awesome.
When they
So
make
yeah,
money,
Absolutely.
it's a bonus.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I 100%.
What's that?
Oh, for sure. We got one in our barn and I cannot connect with him. Like I can connect with all the rest, but the one that is a homebred that we have and he's 5, I cannot connect with. And I'm like, you just need to make money. Just keep making money and I'll love you for life. I'll love you for life. Me and him just cannot get on the same page. So it's so funny to listen to you guys all say, oh yeah, there's bond and stuff. And I'm like, I just wish one day that I could bond with this horse. But he's just one of them who want attention 24/7. And if you
Yeah.
don't give it to him,
But you speaking of them, you have a bond
so
already. It's a love-hate one.
Yeah.
always them ones in the barn, the love-hate relationship, that's for
They,
sure.
they all need it. Yeah, they all need it.
So we asked a couple of other people this question, Mike. It's a little bit outside the box, I guess. Um, as you know, they're looking for a new director of racing, and I wanted to get your opinion. Do you think it should be somebody from the Maritimes or somebody that may come with experience outside the region and be totally impartial?
Well, I really don't think, and maybe I'm being naive, I guess. I don't think anyone in a powerful position should have, no ties to something. It's a small world, and I think everybody in the harness race industry is going to have ties somewheres.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest thing with it is being consistent and fair and if there's a rule set in place that you just follow it and you go to a bouncing cast with your 6 and 7 year old or 6 7 bounces. Well, guess what? 6 7 bounces is how it works, and you got to get off, right? Like just be impartial and be consistent with the ruling. I don't think knowing somebody should matter.
Right.
If you're in a powerful position, I don't think that should ever take place. So and I don't believe it does. Not in harness race. And this is my life. I love it. I've grown up into it, and I don't think that's how it works. I would hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. So outside of racing, since we like to get to know you guys personally, I've noticed that, hockey has been a big thing in your family. Besides hockey, is there any other things that, you like to do with your family?
Well, yeah, hockey, baseball. My family is and my owners are. I have the best owners in the world. They know where I stand with anything I do. My kids, my wife, they come first. Um,
Yeah.
Business side, there's lots of drivers, there's lots of trainers. We have great help with Glenn. Um, if I my kids are having a tournament in Moncton, guess where I'm going to be? I'm
Yeah.
going to be in Moncton. So
Yeah.
but my owners are fantastic to they chip in. They a lot of my owners are hands on. But besides the track, my kids, my wife, my kids are everything to me. And I think that's fair to like I like golfing, but wherever I am, as long as my kids, my boys, my wife are with me, we're happy as all hell. We like to travel. We try to do our best to make sure that we spend time together. Like I still work full time, and I have
Yeah.
a family of 15, so it gets busy. And as I'm at the burn, I try to tell my boys, you gotta be don't be a jerk to your mom. Like make sure you get out of bed and go to school on time and stuff like. Because guess what? Mom's gonna call dad, and then dad's gonna be upset. But our boys, Owen and I, they're great kids. Anything outside of harness racing that is involved with them, I'm I'm very happy. That's all
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah, I love to hear that, Mike, that, especially your owners are very understanding that, you've got a young family and that, that's going to take some of your time and they have that flexibility because, especially for quite a few of you guys over there, you have full-time jobs and manage a stable. So it's a busy schedule for you. So it's nice that you can find a little bit of that work-life balance.
Yeah, no, it can be tough, and it's like as you know, like it's it's strenuous, and you're always going, and if you're not at the burn, you're talking to owners, you're talking to other trainers, you're talking to drivers, and
Yeah.
my owners are fantastic to really understand. You only got one shot of being a dad, and everyone always tells me that. And like you got one shot, and I'm not going to miss that shot. So this
Yeah.
is where I'm at right now in my life.
No, that's awesome, buddy. So when you look back at, you're a PEI boy and you've watched so many Gold Cup and Saucers over the years, are there a couple that stand out to you as the best couple that you've seen? I know for myself, last year really made an impression on me with Cover Bridge and the whole, after the race kind of thing, and just how he got the youngsters involved. But is there any couple that stand out for you?
Yeah, covered that was like incredible last year with
What?
Jordan. It really was. My my oldest Owen asked
Yeah.
Jordan Stratton for his whip earlier in the night, and Jordan Stratton with such a it really is incredible when I have great friends that come down here. Mark McDonald's a good friend of mine. We
Yeah.
talk. This is the race you want to win, right? And Jordan Strand has won, $1 million races, and he comes over their line and he throws his whip up in the air, and poor Owen, and he's like, "Oh my God, like that was my whip," kind of thing, right? Now I had Owen and Isaac, and their two friends, our neighbors, the Braley boys, um, in the center field watch that race because I remember one of the first races I watched, Dougie Brown won. I was in the old Judges Tower with Mark McDonald, and
Yeah.
and Doug Brown was one of the first guys that like used to lay back on the bike,
Yeah.
and Mark kind of duplicated like his style, right? And
Yeah.
and so Owen and Isaac's grandmother Sharon that took pictures for the track end up getting Jordan Stratton's whip, and
Oh,
we
okay.
ended up getting the whip regardless and at the end. So that was pretty special. My first Gold Cup I ever watched personally was in 1990 when my father drove Cap Young, and
Okay.
Kevin Boomer Glenn was the announcer.
Now, sir. Yeah.
Remember, I was peeking under the fence, and
Yeah.
the noises of his voice coming through the speaker. I kept
Yeah.
saying to my mom, I was ripping on her pant leg, saying like, "Did someone fall down?" Because everything
Yeah.
was so dramatic, right? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
no one can ever forget Earl Smith, the late Earl Smith.
I know.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
that was
I
pretty
know.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
You still there,
So
Kate? Oh, there you
because
are.
you guys are all friends, yep. Um, because you guys are all friends and you hang out and you help each other, is there like the funniest guy on the track, or is there someone that you really like to pick and prob at just to have, that fun?
I don't like any of them, to be honest with you. uh, you know what? Everyone is. We're all out there to make a living, and we're all out
Yeah.
there to better each other and better ourselves. And um, we have a very strong driving category in Prince Edward Island, in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
Um, Redmond Doucette is one of my top-notch buddies. He comes down to our barn every Gold Cup, every old home week.
Yeah.
And when I travel down there, that's where I go. I go to Red's barn, and he looks after me, and I look after him. He's a fantastic person. His wife is a lovely lady. They have a young family, the same as mine. They're in it
Yeah.
for the same reasons.
Yeah.
They love the harness racing game. So Red's a good guy. Corey McPherson is, in the same boat. I use Corey a lot as a driver. When I struggled a couple times, years ago, I went out to Ronnie Gass's. Corey helped me out. Adam Mearns is a good person. Mark Campbell is my old man used to drive for Mark's grandfather, his
Yeah.
uncles. Mark drives for me. Mark is a good friend of mine. We're all in it to help each other, but everyone's great down here. Everybody's we're all in it together. We're competitive. Don't get me wrong, and don't
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's been lots of times where there's been clashes, but we get over it pretty quick. For the most part, pretty quickly.
Don't hold grudges too long, eh?
Not normally, no. We try not to. There's there's always the next race, and if you need a hole or if you need a favor, it comes back, and when you're racing in safe races, and that's usually what I'm racing in, it's you got to give an inch to take an inch, or take an inch to give an inch. So that's how she works.
No, that's awesome. And before we go tonight, Kate and I and Grady Hashie are doing an episode in a few minutes, and we're going to try our hand at picking the races for this coming Saturday at Red Shores. So we got to ask you, any shots with any that you got?
You know what? I haven't looked at a program.
Oh no!
I'll give you a little advice. Whatever
Okay.
Mark Campbell and Corey McPherson are driving, bet on them. pretty simple game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go with the hot hand.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Mike, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to kind of get to know you off the racetrack. Like Kate said, see that human side of you and hear some stories about your family and that kind of stuff. So certainly appreciate you coming on the podcast, and best of luck this season. Looks like you're going to go over $1 million. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's quite a thing. I appreciate both you guys, and keep doing what you're doing. It's good for the business, and as long as people are doing this stuff, it brings light to everything. So good for you guys for doing it. Thanks very much for having me.
No, well, thanks very much. So that wraps up our 23rd episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. And again, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Denmark Acres Standardbred Racing and Breeding. Of course, they are standing Mad American for the 2024 season. And we've had Mike McGuigan on tonight. So again, a big thank you to Mike for joining us. We've got some upcoming podcasts, including a handicapping one that we're doing in just a few minutes, actually. And then after that, we've got Arden Mofford, the next one, our next victim, we'll call him. So looking forward to that one. So,
and Arden has a good little restaurant in Cape Breton there. I'll tell you what a spot. Oh my Lord, what the best spot. That's awesome. The greatest restaurant in the Maritimes. Ask him about it.
Geez, we might have to hit him up for a sponsorship.
Hey, he's got the money. Don't be shy.
Well, there you go. Well, thanks again, Mike.
Appreciate it.
In the lightning lane, the lunch pail, Matt American,